Hi, everyone, and welcome to our Ask Me Anything on the future of AI in Windows 11 and on Copilot PCs. If you haven't already, go ahead and start submitting your questions in the link. I'll go ahead and read that URL for you now. It's aka.ms/ama/Windows 11 AI. I'm joined by an incredible group of panelists today, and we'll have them introduce themselves. I'm Nikki Traubinger, and I lead our Windows marketing team. And with me today is Kenneth. We'll have you start and introduce yourself too.
Hi, everybody. My name is Kenneth, and I'm a group program manager on the Windows Experience team, working on features to improve productivity. Right now, focused primarily on Windows Recall. Aria, go ahead.
Hey, y'all. I'm Aria. I lead our Windows Update Experiences team and help drive our commercial Copilot Plus story. And so I'm super excited to get to be here today to talk to you all about it. Yo-Yo?
Hi, I'm Yo-Yo. I'm a PM lead at Microsoft, leading the Silicon integration experiences, particularly focusing on bringing AI Copilot Plus experiences onto our new silicons.
All right. So for the next hour, we will be answering all of your questions on AI in Windows, whether it be the experiences that we have to offer or deploying AI in Windows. So go ahead, throw your hardest questions at us. And if we can't answer them, we will go ahead and follow up. We hear it's been a really great morning talking all things Windows. And let's see if we can go ahead and get our first question. All right. No surprises here. Our first question is all about recall. So, what does recall take snapshots of? Browsing, snipping tool, or something else? Kenneth, as the PM on recall, can you explain a little bit more about how it works?
Yeah, absolutely. So Recall takes a screenshot of most of the things that you're doing. What it does is it attempts to take a screenshot of the entire desktop. And the exception is things that are like remote desktop protocol or things that are DRM'd or like in private browsing. So what we try to do is we try to respect and avoid any privacy concerns around special windows, but otherwise we're trying to capture everything so that we can give you the best semantic search, recall search experience to help you find the things that you have seen, that you know you've seen, and you know have been on your screen. So yeah, so think about it like snipping tool where you did the entire screen, except a little bit of control in the context of privacy.
All right. Next question came to us from the tech community. All right, this is more of a technical question talking about TOPS. So will the x64 based machines that meet the TOPS requirements, specifically Intel Lunar Lake, receive equitable feature advancements? So think recall, Copilot for Windows with SLMs at the same time as the ARM-based Copilot Plus PCs? Maybe, Yo-Yo, do you want to talk a little bit about feature timing across silicon and what our customers can expect?
Sure. So it is always our goal to bring capable features to the silicons as fast as we can. In terms of the TOPS requirement, Lunar Lake is definitely meeting the TOPS requirement of a Copilot Plus PC. That is what we are calling those PCs. In terms of feature, you can see that the recall feature and some of the other Copilot Plus features are already in WIP, and we are bringing them in as the qualities mature. And that is where we are looking into this audience like you to give us feedback in terms of where you would like to see feedback, where you would like to see more improvements, where you would like to see additional features, so we can bring that to the broader audience.
You're so right, Yo-Yo. Feedback through the WIP program is such an important part of how we bring features to market. It ensures that we only bring them to customers when they're ready. And so whether it be on ARM PCs or on Intel PCs, that way we hold a high bar for experiences. Great questions. All right, so the next question, why is there an option to disable recall? And also an option to disable snapshot saving. It seems they can't work one without the other. So why not just disable recall? With the 24H2 announcement, there was a GPO shared to disable snapshot saving, which we have set. It looks like that might not be enough. Kenneth, you want to talk more about why they're separate and how our organizations should think about it?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. When we launched Recall, when we first announced Recall in the summer, we got a lot of feedback about wanting more control, wanting to be able to make more choices. And so what you're seeing here is giving the user and giving IT administrators more control over when and what happens. So if you want to disable Recall entirely, great, you can do that. And using optional components, we will uninstall Recall from the box. You don't have to worry about it. But there are times when you may say, oh, like, I just don't want to save snapshots for now. Or I want to, like, I'm doing all of my Christmas shopping and I don't want, like, it's a family PC. I'm doing my Christmas shopping. I don't want anybody to see all of the like great things I went and searched for and bought. And so this is just a set of granularity of control. As we continue to grow and evolve Recall, we can talk about future iterations that like maybe we'll add more functionality. Maybe we will add even more controls to give you access to parts of it. Right now, Click to Do shows up inside of Recall, and so you can do a now snapshot and then view that data, but the snapshot doesn't actually get saved. So again, this is really just about making sure that IT administrators and making sure that users feel like they're in complete control of what data gets saved and what doesn't. And if they have any like major concerns, they are able to just completely remove Recall from the machine, no questions asked.
Yeah, you are in control is a core theme and principle of the design that went into how we're trying to bring that to market. Aria, is there anything else you'd add from a deployment standpoint?
Yeah, I was just going to add, I think what Kenneth said is spot on. But the other thing to remember is for commercial customers, Recall is not only off, but it's disabled out of the gates and not on your device at all. And so you'll have to go and actually enable it. And so that's why there's that control to enable Recall or allow your user to opt into Recall. And then additionally, right now in the Windows Insider program, whenever you're going to actually test that out, the Click to Do functionality is also within that optional component. And from a technical perspective, what that means is you'll need to actually enable Recall to get that Click to Do functionality currently, which this disable saving snapshots allows you to do both. You can enable Recall to get Click to Do and disable snapshots to ensure that users aren't using Recall yet if it's not ready for your organization's needs. And so it kind of gives you that granularity of control to test out the different functionality and allow us to get feedback from you on how to improve and how to bring that forward.
Yeah, there's a really important nuance I want to make sure to emphasize, Ari, on what you said, which is first step is you, IT, are in control to decide to deploy, but then also your employee also has to opt in. And so it's a two-part decision. Even just because you've enabled doesn't mean then your employees will choose to use. And so that will be an important part of rollout as well. All right, next question. How do we remove Copilot on our machines through Intune? We were using a custom OMA URI setting deployed using Intune, but that doesn't appear to work in our 24H2, presumable because Copilot is now an app rather than a part of Windows. Can you explain that, Aria?
Yeah, so great question. We've been evolving our Copilot strategy. We started with an inbox version of Copilot, which is basically a Windows component. It's on the right side of the taskbar. That's great. And we had a policy that enabled you to disable that Copilot functionality if you weren't ready for it. We then moved to actually making this more flexible by having it be an application. And that means that the policy changed. I do want to note, whenever we rolled out the application to devices, if you had disabled Copilot via that policy, we did not put that application pinned on your device. And so we respected what the policy setting was. Now, that said, you can manage the Copilot app the same way you manage any other application. And you can do this via a variety of ways, including through Intune. I also do want to note we're moving the direction of M365 will have Copilot pinned within it for commercial customers who are using Entra ID. In that case, you can manage this via the M365 Admin Center as well, and you can therefore enable, disable, or configure Copilot, as well as enroll in M365 Copilot to get even more goodness built on top.
Super great answer, Arya. The other thing to make sure folks understood is about that same time we transitioned to an application, Microsoft made a big strategic shift where now we have a Copilot for work. This is your M365 Copilot. And now there is a Copilot for consumer. This is your Copilot, your everyday AI companion. And so there is a world that both are available. And so if you wanted to deploy both, they are two separate applications. One is Entra ID through your M365 application. The other is MSA powered. Experiences are different for your users, and they come with different capabilities. So important to note those differences as well. All right. While we wait for the next question to come in, maybe we'll ask and hear from our panelists, what is your favorite Copilot Plus PC feature? So Arya, why don't we go ahead and start with you? Tell me your favorite Copilot Plus PC experience.
Yeah, so we actually just talked about a bunch of new features at Ignite, and there was a lot of really cool ones. I'm going to be honest, my favorite are on the accessibility side, and some of the preview features I've gotten to test out. I really like improved reading narration, where it will read and tell me an image and read through that functionality. I just find that super powerful, especially as someone who has a tendency in the morning to have my coffee and have my device read to me. I love that functionality and the fact we're going to be able to automatically generate great image descriptions without someone needing to go manually enter what the image is.
Yeah, narrator with more descriptive alt text is going to be so powerful. Kenneth, what about you?
Oh, that was an awesome example. Yeah, accessibility features are for everybody. I just want to shout that out. I know this feels like I'm plugging my own thing, but I really have had my mind blown about how useful recall is. And I have to just give my like canonical example is, we use email and we use Teams and there's all these communication channels and, did I read it in a document or where did I see this thing? And so the most common scenario that actually happens to me is I know someone told me something about a specific thing, but I can't remember where they said it or what it was. And recall finds that for me. And it is, it brings joy. It's just it's like, oh my gosh, I didn't have to search everywhere for this. I didn't have to be frustrated. I just popped open recall, typed in that person's name and the topic, and it said, oh yeah, you need to talk to Greg. Like Greg's the person you're supposed to talk to. And I'm like, yes, it's Greg. And so just having my computer remember that stuff for me it's this quality of life thing that I've just found to be so valuable.
Yeah, within our team, recall has almost become a verb. We joke when you're looking for something, you're like, I just recalled it and it was amazing. I found exactly what I was looking for. All right, Yo-Yo, you're up. What's your favorite Copilot Plus PC feature?
I would say, I call the accessibility being super useful. And even for me, like live translation has been something that I enjoyed using. And it's like, I would sometimes go on a YouTube video and then it would like turn into a language that I don't speak, but I'm still interested in the video. And so now this is a time where previous to the live translation, I've not used this feature, but now it really highlights the accessibilities for everyone. Now I bring up live translation. It's just like action and helps me understand what the video is saying. So that has been, interestingly, a very much a personal favorite of mine.
Yeah. And outside of personal entertainment at work, you can see the application if you work on global teams and have teammates who speak languages, now being able to better understand and communicate in more authentic ways. It has the power to help everybody be seen and heard in really magical ways. My personal favorite is Co-Creator. I am an artist in my spare time, and it is just so fun and magical being able to co-create real time with the power of AI using words and my digital pen and or my brushstrokes on my screen. If you haven't checked it out, it's such a fun experience. All right, let's go ahead and jump back into the questions. This one came to us on X. Will Windows 11 have inbox AI capabilities at some point? Or is the Copilot app the plan of record for now? Anyone want to take this one?
Arya, go ahead, and then I can add to it.
Yeah, I'll start, and then I will go to Kenneth to actually add more detail. So we actually have, for a long time, had a bunch of AI that does run within Windows. And so I think AI is definitely an AI revolution, but when we're talking about AI in the form of like having heuristics or having basic model functionality in Box, that's something we've been building into product for years now. And I can even speak about it from an update perspective. Since my team's main goal, right, is to make sure we scan, download, install, restart as effectively as possible, we have a variety of models that we use to do that. For example, if you've ever actually used a device with the commercial deadline policy, and you've seen, oh, downtime estimate, this update will take you 3 minutes. Or as a consumer, you've seen the same thing. Hey, this update will take you 5 minutes. That's actually being backed by local AI models running on the device to determine how long we think that is going to take you. And so there are things like that that we build out. Now, what I think you're more getting at is what are the models you're going to let me build on this device? And in those cases, that's really something where we focus more on Windows Copilot Runtime Library. And really, the Copilot Plus PCs are what's going to undock that because of the NPU and the processing capabilities there, which Kenneth will now tell you more about.
Yeah, no one on this call I don't think is the expert on Windows Copilot Runtime, but we can talk about it a little bit. So Arya's point was, hey, here's a bunch of things where AI is already helping you. And then if the question is from a developer point of view, like how do I either use built-in AI models, or how do I tune my own models, or how do I ship apps that use models? We want to meet developers where they are in that stack. And so for some of them, it's hey, give me a small language model that will just do some work for me. And so we're shipping PhiSilica, and you can do that. If you want to do your own fine tuning, we have the Visual Studio AI toolkit that can help you do your own adapters. And then we also have a set of APIs that are backed by AI models where you can just call it the same way you would call like a standard Windows API. And so it sort of just depends on where you are in your AI development timeline and what sort of depth you need or what sort of customization you need. And we can kind of meet you all over the place. And Windows Copilot Runtime is the way to do that.
And one just note to add on to that, or to complete the thought, is you might ask, wait, why are we only saying for Copilot Plus, that's where a majority of we're going to allow you to build on top of the local AI and the local AI models? A big part of that is because the Copilot Plus devices come with that neural processing unit of at least 40 trillion operations per second, which means we're able to do that processing without eating up the CPU and the GPU performance. On a typical Windows 11 device, if we gave the same model availability, we'd kill your battery and your performance. And so we're not as likely to bring local AI model capabilities to Windows 11 generally for people to build on. We'll focus more there on the cloud and our Copilot agent strategy to enable you to get some of the same great functionality, but with a cloud focus rather than the local focus of Copilot Plus.
Yeah, you're so right. With over 40 models that are shipped on device, Copilot Plus PCs are designed to take advantage of both, right? The best of AI in the cloud from Microsoft, the best of local. So your employees can use and get access to the very best, most powerful AI from Microsoft, whether it be from Windows or from Microsoft and beyond. Quick plug reminder, if you've got questions, go ahead and submit them now, aka.ms/ama/Windows 11 AI. All right, our next question comes to us on LinkedIn. I am lost. Security Copilot, Copilot for Microsoft 365, Copilot app, Copilot Studio. How do I keep track of all of the Copilots? So maybe let me start and then I'll have the product team jump in. At its simplest form, Copilot is Microsoft's strategy for AI, and Copilot is our UI for AI. That means that you're going to see Copilot show up in a number of places. We have a 3-pillar approach. You have Copilot, you have Copilot Plus PCs, and you have the Copilot stack. Think of Copilot as a standalone product. This is our Copilot in M365. It also shows up across all of our Microsoft 365 applications and software. This is about bringing Copilot to where you are in your workflows to help you when and where you need it. You then have Copilot Plus PCs, which are an entirely new class of hardware. These PCs are our fastest, most intelligent Windows PCs ever, and they are designed to run AI workloads. They include that neural processing unit that Arya talked about that are designed to efficiently run these AI models without taxing your CPU and GPU with powerful on-device AI. And then with the Copilot stack, this enables not only teams here at Microsoft to build Copilot experiences, but also for you to take advantage of our powerful AI models and bring your own in order to be able to deploy AI to your organizations. That doesn't give you all of the details across all of the products and facts, but hopefully that orientation of Copilot is our UI for AI. It shows up across our applications, on our hardware, and in our stack. And every team is bringing unique functionality to all of our products and services helps. Aria, Kenneth, Yo-Yo, what would you add?
We know it's confusing. Like,
I thought that was amazing.
Like, Nikki explained it so well. Like, I appreciate that explanation so much. But I think the other thing to note from product side, like we understand it's confusing. I think the number one feedback we heard at Ignite over and over was it was confusing. We'd be standing somewhere at Copilot Plus table and we'd hear about Copilot questions, or I'd stand at Modern Work. I have a question on Security Copilot versus M365 Copilot. Which do I pay for? How do I think about it? And I think the feedback has been heard and the feedback is amazing. And I just want you to know you are not alone. If you are feeling confused, you are not alone. We have heard the feedback. We are going to work on simplifying the messaging and help providing you the guidance you need to know which Copilot you should deploy, how you can deploy it, and which one's the best fit for your company to make the most out of that purchasing decision to get the most bang for your buck. I don't know, Kenneth, if you had anything you wanted to add there.
I second everything that's been said.
I will second that question. And in fact, I have personally typed what is the difference between Copilot and Copilot Plus into a Copilot query. And it actually spelled out really good answers for me. So I suggest you try that.
Oh, great plug, using Copilot to explain our own Copilot products. Nice. All right, our next question is for bring your own device scenarios. We haven't rolled out Copilot in our org yet, but users want to be able to use its capabilities to help them with writing emails and docs. How should we approach that? We're worried about them entering company information into the retail UX. Aria, any thoughts on this for rolling out Copilot?
Yeah, so I think if you're rolling out Copilot, one, good, you should. As Yo-Yo said, it can be useful to understand different things. There's a bunch of controls, as we talked about a little bit earlier. If you don't want users using Copilot yet, block the application, make it not usable. You can block the website. There's a variety of ways you can do that. This will block them from being able to enter into Copilot. You can also, as I know many organizations do, block MSA, which will block the ability to retain that information within Copilot. Now, that said, obviously your users want answers and they want the great experience where it does retain this information. So you might also want to consider, how do you speed up that rollout to those enthusiastic users? How do you determine who the right users are to pilot? We've also seen that for companies that are deploying M365 Copilot, because this is obviously something that is a subscription cost, they've had much more success if they start with the enthusiasts who learn, how does this really help me? How do I use rewrite? How do I use summarize? How do I use these different functionality? And then deploy it broader and have those users evangelize how to make the most of it to see that greatest productivity increase and decrease in lost time. And so those are two strategies you can use there. But if you're really worried about it for the moment, I would definitely investigate the ways that you can block it, or at least limit it to not remembering any of the information.
Yeah,
I think Aria is making such a great point about learning curves and understanding how to make things useful. And everybody's trying a lot of stuff. I feel this way in my own work of, how are we going to use that? How does that make my life better? Does that create a repeatable habit? Is that enough of a value add that I remember to come back to it? And working with people that are willing to experiment and enthusiastic and want to try it is such a great way to do that, because you're right. Not everything works for everybody. Not everything works for every organization. And I think that learning is incredibly valuable. And it's also the kind of thing that we want to hear about, because we're trying to make it easier for all of you to sort of get through that quickly. But everybody that's in this meeting or this call or this presentation is an enthusiast of some kind, and we're trying to make this real for everybody else.
Yeah. And I'm just going to make a plug. If you have a group of enthusiasts who love rewrite and summarize, they're going to love Click to Do. It's one of our Copilot Plus exclusive features that we haven't talked a lot about, but it puts quick actions at your fingertips. You just use the Windows key and click, and it can analyze what's on your screen. And you're shown a relevant set of actions, whether it be visual or text. And one of those are text actions like rewrite and summarize, where now, even if you're not in an application that has AI built in, you can bring AI to text anywhere. And so it's such a great example of a unique benefit of those Copilot Plus PCs, where even if the application doesn't have AI, you now have AI in your workflow to be able to use anywhere. So just a little plug for Copilot Plus PCs and Click to Do.
And
All
sorry,
right.
before
Yeah.
we move on to that question, I also want to really echo that there's a lot of concerns when there's new AI features, especially when there are AI features that's like recall, taking screenshot of your screen, or like Copilot, where you entering personal or company information into a query to get answers. There's a lot of questions around, hey, how do we ensure that security and privacy and all of that are built into the center? And I just want to kind of echo and reassure that as Microsoft build those AI features, as Microsoft continue to bring AI into innovation and help with everyday life, we build it with security and privacy in the center, both for personal use as well as for enterprise. We want to make sure to give you the controls and make you feel like you are in control of your privacy, your security. So if you do have questions or you have like feedbacks as an enthusiast around, hey, how can we improve? How can we make this even better? We'd love to hear from you, but we just want to kind of put that out there. This is responsibly using AI securely and privately is something that we continue to make improvements on.
I love it. I hope you're sensing a theme, two themes. We're trying to build experiences that you can trust, doing responsible AI and building experiences securely. And we want to hear your feedback. Those are two things that are critical for us as we go ahead and move forward. I also missed my cue. If you want to learn more about Click to Do, go ahead and go to aka.ms/windows/click to do. All right, let's go ahead and move to our next question. We heard a lot at Ignite and MMS. We now have new devices that are Copilot Plus PCs. Thank you. We love to hear that. But I'm not using Copilot right now. How can I reprogram the Copilot key on the laptop?
I can try to take that. Also, first, thank you for still attending the MMS session. I'm so sorry that I was not there, but I'm glad that you went to that session anyway. And I know that Ken and Vinny did a great job, so thank you. Second of all, you can totally reprogram the key. The key, actually, as of the October security update, is fully programmable. The policy name is Windows AI-set Copilot hardware key. I will share, or hopefully we will share the Learn More link in response to you shortly. So you can just click it and go and see. But this is fully possible and configurable after the October security update. So once you take that update, you'll be able to configure the key. We do recommend that you point it to either Copilot or to M365 or to some way that you can enable users to get great functionality to their questions. It will default to one of the Copilot experiences, but you are free to configure it per your own organization's needs. In terms of the value, I do want to touch on this. I know it wasn't your main question of, hey, the Copilot Plus value without Copilot. I think it's a great thing that others might be thinking about. And I wanted to see if Yo-Yo, you could just take a minute to try and address that portion of it.
Yes, of course. And this really kind of brings back the earlier question of like, hey, there's Copilot Plus, there's other M365 Copilot stuff. So there's a question of, okay, do I know which one to use and what's the value of each, right? So like we kind of echoing what we said earlier, if you have a Copilot Plus PC, you have a super capable NPU that is able to handle a lot of these AI workloads on device. So that is how we're able to add in all of those Copilot Plus experiences that's running the local model that is not incurring a subscription cost or incurring a cloud connection. So a lot of these are the value that we're bringing as you have the Copilot Plus PC. But we also want to bring a lot of the AI value via cloud through Copilot, right? So the people who may not have a Copilot Plus PC, who may have a different PC, they still get the Copilot key to bring up the Copilot that brings AI value to your device via cloud compute. So depending on your hardware, a lot of them complement each other. So you can use the Copilot for rewrite, then you can use the Copilot Plus for things like co-create or things like recall. So a lot of those complementary capabilities are to be used together to create your own workflow. So if you want to reset it for something else, totally do whatever is best for you. I actually block my Windows key when I'm in a full gaming experience a lot of the times, but I also do think that try them and give them a try and come up with your own creative ways to use Copilot and Copilot Plus PC.
Yeah. The thing I love about the Copilot key is it really just keeps that AI assistance one click away. And so for your enthusiasts and your power users, it's all about that quick access, right? Time is valuable. It's one of our most valuable assets for employee productivity, and finding those quick shortcuts really make a big difference over the course of a day, a week, a year, if you think about reducing the number of clicks to get to what you're looking for. All right. We are about halfway through our time together. So if you have not yet submitted your question to X, to LinkedIn, or to our link, I'm going to read it for you one more time, aka.ms/AMA/Windows 11 AI. Next question. Okay, readiness and training. I have found materials on how to use Copilot, but what about how to use it securely? How can I look? How can I learn more about how to help my employees?
I hope Aria takes this.
I can take that.
Sure.
Yeah, so it's a great question. It partially depends on which Copilot. And so as Nikki was talking about earlier, we made this change to split the consumer Copilot from the commercial or work Copilot. What this really is split between is users with an MSA authentication and users with an Entra ID authentication. By default, just for the record, if you're using Entra ID, none of that data is being used for any training models or things like that. Now, that said, if you're using M365 Copilot, which I do highly recommend, that and the Team Summarize are probably two of my favorite functionalities. M365 Copilot does give you ability to query information within your data sources that you have access to. What we have heard from some companies, if you have bad data management practices, it shows up a lot when you start using Copilot. What you might not realize already, depending on how you're storing data and protecting it today, users may or may not have access to this. If you're using something like Microsoft Information Protection, if you're using Microsoft Purview, there's a bunch of different ways you can manage who has access to what data. And this is super critical. This is actually critical regardless of Copilot, but it becomes even more critical when you give users access to Copilot to start querying things. Because today, Kenneth might have access to a super highly tented, confidential new silicon roadmap that Yo-Yo is working on, because Yo-Yo mislabeled it. Yo-Yo would never do this, just to be clear. Let's say Yo-Yo mislabeled it. Kenneth might have access. But it's unlikely that Kenneth is going to go start searching through random files to see what he has access to and what he doesn't. But with being able to search in Copilot and Microsoft 365 Copilot through all the OneDrive documents I have access to, Kenneth could be like, oh, type in, I want to see silicon for a recall. And all of a sudden, he sees this new roadmap. Probably a bad thing. That means we've had bad data management practices. And so it does make it easier to fall into those traps. And so what I would think about as an IT admin is, how am I drawing data boundaries within my organization? Am I using Microsoft Purview? Am I using Microsoft Information Protection? Am I training users on how to appropriately label sensitive content and restrict that to only certain sites, certain groups, and certain people, whether that's everyone in your organization, only people with specific access, or only people within a certain tent? And this labeling of data is critical, and it becomes even more critical when we think about AI and Copilot, because what these models are doing is being applied to a set of content. And that content is the same regardless. And so for me, security for Copilot starts with good data practices.
Hearing you say this, Aria, makes me feel like I need to go check all of my files right now and make sure I've got the right security
You
labels,
should.
so
It's
I don't
really good.
unintentionally share something I'm not meaning to. Anything else to add from the group? But that's a really great question. Job number one is make sure your information is accurately classified, and then there's additional steps you can take from there.
Aria, I hope I'm setting you up in a good way. I think I noticed that defaults have changed so that now my items are automatically saved differently, and I assume that was an IT policy.
Yeah, so there's a variety of IT policies. Actually, at Microsoft, we do use both Microsoft Purview and actually a variety of ways to store information, especially because we rely heavily on OneDrive for Business and have a variety of SharePoint sites and things like that. And we have a bunch of full-time employees, vendors, tents, or confidential projects. It's important for us at Microsoft to restrain that data to only the people who should have access and avoid data leaks as much as possible. And I know everyone here actually works on highly confidential projects. So as Nikki said, one, yes, defaults matter. Confidential or highly confidential, always super useful. And then two, reevaluate from time to time. Should these users still have access? IT can set retention policies, like M365 has default retention policies you can set. You should continually be checking if users should still have access to that data. And IT can force that. If you've ever gotten one of those emails that says, hey, check if these users should have access, or they're losing access after this time, that's by default. And it's really meant to protect you, us, and our data.
I love secure defaults.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and take our next question. Kenneth, I think this one will probably be for you. What options do I have to configure recall data retention?
Yeah, absolutely. You have a few options. Recall data retention is time-bound and space-bound. So you can set it to, I don't want to be quoted on this, but I think it's 30, 60, 90, 180 days or unlimited. And then based off of how much storage space you have on the device, we also have an amount of storage that you can use. And I can't off the top of my head remember what all of the settings are, but they are all in settings, privacy and security, recall and snapshots, storage. And they can be administered via IT policy as well.
Yeah. Can I add a couple additional, which is we're also adding fine-grained controls. So you have the ability to set specific websites or applications that you also want to automatically exclude snapshots from saving. This gives you additional peace of mind that if you know that there are specific sites that you just don't want snapshots captured from, UIT have the ability to set that at the organization and policy level. So no employee can override or change you. We really want to make sure we've got the right controls so you feel comfortable deploying in your organization. This is an area we really want your feedback on. So as you start to test this and tinker with it, if you have additional ideas of things that would be helpful, please send them our way. We'd really love to hear it.
Yeah. So that's not, thanks, Nikki. That's not data retention. That's filtering, but it's a great point. But it's a great point. So in the filtering context, we enable filtering for, you can filter apps. You can have us attempt to automatically filter sensitive information. You can pick websites that you want to filter, and you can also pause snapshots just for a time. Like that's the I'm Christmas shopping scenario, and just say, hey, for the next 1 hour, don't take any snapshots, but automatically turn it back on. So yeah, we're trying to give you as much control as possible so you feel like you're getting, like, recall is saving the data that you want it to save and not saving the data you don't want it to save.
You're so right. It's not data retention, but as soon as you went into describing what is in settings, my brain went into describing all of the things that you can find in settings. So thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Aria, this question is for you. You piqued one of our listeners' interest. Aria mentioned Meeting Summarizer as one of her favorite features. What is that?
Yeah, so if you use Teams, which not shockingly here at Microsoft, we are almost only Teams, except for when talking to certain customers. Basically, Teams and M365, there's a feature where you can actually go in after Teams meeting. If you've selected to record it or transcribe the meeting, it'll automatically generate notes. It'll automatically summarize the meeting. It'll automatically even give you a brief overview of who was talking at different points and who said what. And this has been super game changing for at least my team because we have a bunch of different time zones. We work literally across the globe. And so not everyone can be in every meeting. And so having the ability to just go, hey, what happened in that meeting, and get a short couple of paragraphs or a few bullet point summary, rather than having to see the entire 30-minute video or hour-long video, is super helpful. I will tell you, it's not always completely perfect, but it is surprisingly accurate and very useful to at least get that short notes. And as someone who hates sending out meeting notes, it's a really nice way to just automatically generate it. We can share the links offline as well so that you can look into it a bit more and see what else is available.
You're so right. My team uses this all the time, and it's so helpful. You're not spending a bunch of time trying to remember who said what on who was going to take what action items. It just gives you a beautiful summary. And so we oftentimes will start our next meeting going back to that summary saying, hey, what did we talk about last time? And another of my favorite ways to use those meeting summaries is you can copy the information into a Word doc, and you can attach a couple of relevant files in Word. And if you have an M365 Copilot subscription, you can kind of combine all those docs and ask Copilot to help you write a strategy doc, being like, take these three, this meeting chat where we talked about the strategy and these three background docs, and help me write a 2-page summary of a strategy doing these considerations. It's not going to be perfect, but the getting that first draft on the page and being able to do it in such a short period of time has jump-started our writing in so many ways. So anyway, pro tip. You didn't ask, but I'm going to share. That's one of my favorite ways to use it too.
I just want to, we'll both pile in. Like meeting notes, I can't, like, my life is so much better with automatic meeting notes, with transcript. It's so much better. And we even do little things where people will just write in the chat action item : and then say a thing so that it gets picked up. So they're for sure it gets picked up. It has saved so much what is effectively bookkeeping time. It's amazing. I'm sorry, Yo-Yo. I know we were both.
I was gonna pile on. It does more than just taking notes, because I like some of the things you can also do is like you can ask it like, did I get any action item from the meeting? Or if you join a meeting late, like sometimes we have conflict, we can only join the first half, and then we come in and you can ask like, hey, catch me up. What has been discussed so far? Like there's a lot of things you can do as a conversational AI that you can go. It does a lot more than taking notes. So like, super useful feature. I can't imagine how I lived without it before.
Yeah. And just to make sure, back to our confusion on clarity there, this is a part of our Microsoft 365 Copilot SKU. This is a part of our Teams experience. So just want to make sure that you all know that it's not exclusive to Windows. It's not exclusive to Copilot Plus PCs, but amazing examples of putting AI to practical use to save, especially your information workers who spend a lot of time on conference calls, valuable time each and every day. All right, next up, question. Can features be enabled individually? For example, recall, no thank you, but click to do yes. Kenneth, Arya, you want to take that one?
Maybe I'm going to have Arya answer.
Okay, I can try. Okay, so this question is super feature dependent, and that's going to always be the case. When you think about the way we release features as Windows, there's a few different ways. We can release things as on by default, which means they start out off, they gradually roll out, and then they're on by default in an optional quality update and then in a security update. They can be off by default, meaning for commercial customers or for everybody, they ship off and they require a policy to enable them. And this would be things like recall. It ships off by default or requires a policy to enable it for users to then opt in. And for consumers, it's off by default and they can opt in. Then there's other features which we introduce, which are temporary off for commercial, and then they're on after a feature update. In terms of those that would allow individual enablement or individual controls, those are things where we have provided a permanent policy to say, yes, I want this feature, or no, I don't want this feature. Recall is a great example. Other features like improved Windows search, there is no control like that. The only control you have is the existing search functionality, where you can control in settings how you do different searches. That's true whether you're using a lexical search methodology or you're using a semantic search methodology. Either way, same controls and policies apply. There's no on or off. In terms of how we think about that, we are constantly learning. And you actually might see us go to Windows Insider program with certain things in a certain state, where, like, for example, click to do relies on recall currently to be enabled for it to then be available to the user. And we might hear feedback on that. We want feedback. We are constantly listening to feedback. You can actually message me literally anytime at Aria Updated on X, and I will get back to you and respond. And we will make our decisions and change based upon that to see, oh, we actually need to be able to control click to do as well. We need an on-off switch for that. Or, oh, we actually do need an on-off switch for this other thing. Or, oh, we need to support Entra ID for all of our features. I don't know. Crazy suggestions that you can give us. And we will look into those things to make sure that when we leave Windows Insider Program, we might have that default state be slightly adjusted based on your input. And so that's a long way of saying it depends on the feature, and it really depends on the feedback we get about that feature during both the in development stage and Windows Insider stage.
Aria, is there...
Oh, go ahead, Nikki.
I didn't mean to interrupt. Do you want to finish your train of thought?
No, I'm good. That was it. I'm out.
Okay. Is there a place that folks can go to see what it is, like the default ship state? Is release notes, is that the best place, or where can people go to see those details?
Yeah, so the release information pages and the KB articles are always a great place to go. That said, we're looking for how we can continually improve that transparency. So there's also the Windows Insider Program blogs where you can see what the current state is there as well. We have the windows.com where we talk about a lot of these big AI features as they come out and what controls are available. And then there's also the KB articles where you can see more granularity as they go to retail audiences.
Awesome.
Also, sorry for my dog.
I just wish we could see the dogs. Just because we checked while we were talking about this, we published a blog at Ignite and did talk about Click to Do being available in preview through the Windows Insider Program, off by default for commercial organizations. Organizations will currently need to enable recall in order to use Click to Do, and we will have separate IT policies and controls for standalone Click to Do sometime in 2025. So stay tuned for that. And real quick, the link is aka.ms/windows/ignite 2024 AI blog.
Super. Thanks for covering that link. All right. If you can believe it, we only have a little more than 10 minutes left. So there is still time if you have not yet submitted your question to get it in. I was going to say while we wait, but it just came in. So is ChatGPT hiding in the back end of Copilot? Does anyone want to take that one? Yo-Yo?
Yeah, I can take that question. It's not necessarily ChatGPT. There's a lot of things hiding at the back of Copilot. Like Nikki mentioned, we have a lot of AI models that are supporting all the different scenarios. So it's not just one model, it's not just one, it's a bunch of language models. There's a lot of image recognition models. There's a lot of other models that is supporting all of these. So I think the best place is, again, looking at our AI blog to see what are the feature set and the things that are supporting the feature. And again, as coming up Windows Copilot runtime, that will give you a lot of good insights on, hey, some of the models that we are even using to light up our Copilot, you can directly access the model to light up your own creative experiences.
Yeah, super. And maybe this is a plug, especially for our Copilot PCs. We just stood up a new technical blog series. It's partnering with our applied sciences team. These are the folks who are developing the AI models that power all our experiences. Just last week, we published a blog on PhiSilica. It is a small language model that ships on the device. It powers Click to Do, that experience we talked about earlier. And if you want to nerd out a little bit and understand the technical architecture, how they've maximized memory usage and what makes it so special, go ahead and take a read. And we'll be publishing more of those in the future. So it's a way for us to help other people really learn about how we are approaching building models and all of the experiences, so we can transparently share it. So more to come too as we try and transparently help everyone learn more about Copilot PCs and the on-device AI models as well. All right. Last question, I'm told. Windows search improvements. So before we jump into the question, at Ignite, we announced that we would be adding significant improvements to Windows search. Think in File Explorer, the Windows search box, as well as in Settings. This enables you to use the ability to describe using words, your own words, and find the files or settings that you're looking for through semantic search using AI. If you want to learn more about that experience, it's in that same blog that Kenneth mentioned earlier, aka.ms/windows/ignite 2024 AI blog. So the question is about these Windows search improvements. Please, please, please tell me some of these will come natively to Windows 11 24H2 and not just Copilot Plus PCs. In general, how do you decide what comes to a Copilot Plus PC versus Windows 11? So maybe I'll start and then the technical team can jump in. Of course, we want to make as much innovation available to as many customers as possible. So our starting point is always, if it can go to every PC, we will bring it to every Windows 11 PC. So know that that's our orientation. For the experiences that are exclusive to Copilot Plus, it means that it has a technical dependency, usually on one of those models that's built on the NPU, that is in how it is architected. And so for improved Windows search today, the way it's built, it leverages that neural processing unit and the models that are on the device in order to be able to execute the way that search was built. In the fullness of time, I know there's aspirations to figure out how to make search better across Windows 11, right? We know it's a real problem for customers, but we aren't able to comment on future roadmap at this time. So generally speaking, yes, we hear you, but I can't answer more specifics. Kenneth, Yo-Yo, Aria, what would you add?
I just want to echo, you are absolutely right. They are AI features. As we design AI features, the default stance is if it's applicable for everyone, we'll bring it to everyone. But at the same time, a lot of those AI loads that supports a lot of the Copilot Plus features are super heavy AI loads. So we cannot afford bringing those onto a CPU and killing your battery and tanking your other tasks. So we must require some hardware to run, like the NPU, the neural processing unit, to run those AI workloads. But just setting an example and a plug, like Paint background removal, we brought that to everyone because it is a lightweight model that is capable to run on every PC. So as we continue the innovation, not just to search, but to all the AI related tasks, there are things as much as we can bring down to everyone, we'll bring it to everyone. But Copilot Plus PC will remain with this unique value proposition of the NPU added NPU neural processing unit and the super powerful neural processing unit.
Yeah, but love to hear that you're excited about search. I think we are also so excited for search. It's going to be one of those things that once it's available, you're not going to realize how much it's going to make your Windows experience feel so much easier, because suddenly, every time you're looking for something, you're going to find exactly what you're looking for. I don't know about you, but this hour has flown by for me. So before we wrap, we're going to go ahead and do final thoughts. Why don't we start with you, Aria? Anything you want to leave the audience with today?
Yeah, I think that really just final thoughts, and this is kind of going back to everything we said, is so my team, really our bread and butter is shipping updates, whether those are model updates, Windows updates, or things containing new features. And so one thing that's really always top of mind for me is change management and how you can do the best understanding of what's coming, where is it going, when's it coming when, how do you make the best decisions for your business around moving to Windows 11, about device refresh, choose Copilot Plus PCs, and about all of these different functionalities. And so one thing that we've started doing, and we're excited to see how we can invest in more, is we actually did put up on support.microsoft.com at aka.ms-copilot plus-features, a list of all the publicly announced features that we've talked about for Copilot Plus PCs and which silicon they're coming to, when, and those timeframes. And I think that's just super helpful when we think about change management. And obviously, we also have the KB articles and Windows Insider pages, and I highly recommend folks use those to evaluate what's coming, where it's going, how it is there, and also look at all of the goodness in Windows 11. AI is going to be huge there, and there's so many other good things there. So please move. That's it. Kenneth, on to you.
Yeah. Thanks everybody. Final thoughts. Thanks everybody for listening. This has been a fun experience for me to get to sort of chat about this and see what people have questions about. But I think my final thought is really, we really appreciate actual feedback, actual questions, actual comments, because we have a lot of ideas about what we think is most helpful. And you've just heard us talk about what our experiences are like in our own work and how we use these tools, but we're not everybody. And so I want to hear how, oh, you missed this really obvious thing, or if you just added this one extra knob, it would make my life so much easier. And I just love hearing about those, because it gives me the perspective of what other people are experiencing and helping us build the right product for you. So please keep that feedback coming. The team loves to read it, and even the constructive criticism version, like we care a lot. So it's super helpful. So thank you.
Yeah.
Joey, go ahead.
In case you missed the flyout, it said, we love feedback.
And we do.
All right. Yo-Yo, you're up.
Yeah, Kenneth actually said exactly what I wanted to say. We love feedback because tech is just tech, right? If it's not useful, it's not useful tech. And so as my team looks at a lot of the Seneca innovation, and the applied scientist group looks at a lot of the new AI models that are capable of doing a lot of cool things, it's only cool things until we can get your feedback, we can get your view of how you want to actually improve your life. What are your real problems? Where are you struggling? Then we can apply a lot of these into problem solving, providing better experiences, amazing Windows experiences. So yes, we need your feedback. We want to know your pain point. We don't want just of course, we love for you to cheer us on and say like, good job, we love your new feature. But what's super important is also tell us, where are your pain points? Where are the weak points? Where do you want to see more? And so that is going to help us drive what are the things that we invest in? What are the new technology we bring in? So love that feedback. Please also add in the Silicon front. I just want to do a shameless plug of Silicon diversity. We have Copilot PCs across different form factors and OEMs across all of our ecosystem. We'd love for a variety and people to tell us how the experience goes on each of those.
Super. And my final thoughts, I just want to lead with a thank you. Thank you for being our customers. Thank you for being with us every day. And thank you for being curious. I know AI can feel a little bit overwhelming at times. We're learning right along with you, but we firmly believe it has the power and potential to transform the way that your employees work every day, right? In meaningful ways, to connect more effectively, to save them more time, to write more effectively, right? And so by being curious, by learning, by testing, by finding those enthusiasts, which will tell you what really matters, and then of course sharing that feedback back with us, we can build meaningful experiences together. So whether you decided to tune in live and be brave and ask a question, or if you're watching this back on demand, we want to say thank you for being a part of our live stream today, and we can't wait to see you again here next time. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.